Hey, welcome everybody to the Stage Crew Live. This is K Stage, and next to me is my pops. We are full-time RVers. I've been full-time RVers since 17 already. Dad, it's already been a whole year and a month. Whole year and a month.
Awesome.
Yes, it is awesome. So he's actually sitting right over there as we're doing this thing. But the reason why we started this show is so we can express our love to you guys, to share our knowledge on marketing. We've been doing this for about 5 years, long time. 5 years online. It's been a really fun journey. So now we're here to share this with you. So tonight's show, it's about the 5 steps of law of attraction. I remember when I first learned about the law of attraction, I'm like, first of all, laws. There's rules that are meant to be broken, but I know that there's laws in place to either keep us safe or to, I don't know, something, right? But when I heard law of attraction, I was like, what does that really mean? I'm not really sure. Because usually with laws, it keeps you safe and away from things. But with law of attraction, it's kind of like the way you attract things to you. And there's like this really crazy universal law. For instance, Pops and I, we do this actually quite often, more often than I'd like to admit, that I would be thinking of something and he would say it like 3 seconds later, or he would say something and I would, you know what I mean? And so it's like we're in this universe thing where things happen magically. And there's another story I would like to tell you is when I worked as a professional minimum wager, I would actually go into the place of work to get a job. And when I walked in there, I imagined myself walking into to that place as a brand new employee. I wasn't even hired yet, but I walked in there. I was looking around. I was like pretending I was already working there, and it was like no problem. I would always get that job. They didn't really care, it seemed. It didn't matter if I had 31 jobs in 17 years. They just saw me as this person who is going to be there and do the work probably, or maybe it was law of attraction. I haven't quite figured that out yet. I'm still kind of new at this law of attraction thing. So what Pops is going to do tonight is he's going to explain these 5 simple steps to law of attraction and kind of think as you're walking through these steps to think of your own stories and see if you can actually maybe figure out where these steps can help you in attracting the things that you want in your life. So with that, I don't even know if that one story, Pops, with us thinking the same thing even is law of attraction. I have no idea, so we'll figure this out. But anyways, I'm going to hand it over to him, and I'm going to be taking some notes. So take it away, Pop.
Thanks, Kate. And you don't want to go down that road yet. That's our neuron receptors connecting and the plasticity of the mind. And you want me to keep going? No. Hi, everybody. Welcome. I'm excited to share this with you because we all, in this market space that we do, in this business that we're doing, are striving for achieving the law of attraction so that we can attract, of course, the people that are like-minded as we are and show them a better way to market, because as we know that the law of attraction, most people out there unfortunately are spamming through really no fault of their own because they're not being taught properly by whoever, or they misunderstood, possibly, we don't know, until we connect with them, and then we can find out and talk to them and find out what they're doing. But in order for us to be able to find these folks, we need to apply the law of attraction. And there are some basic steps that we need to go through in order to achieve that, because we know, and it's proven actually through science and other factors, that the way we project ourselves, other people can pick it up. And so if we're not clear on ourselves and how we apply the law of attraction, we may be sending out the wrong signal, which in fact then would not be applying the law of attraction. It could be applying the law of repelling people. So there is a difference in how to make this work. And it starts with how we think and how we approach people and how we speak, how our energy is. That's big. The more high energy we are, the more we'll attract people, of course, and how we speak to them and smile and use their name. There are other those too, but the inner game would start with, I'll go right into step one, and that is to know what you do not want materially and emotionally. So you got to go through yourself in order to kick aside the things that you have attached to you that you don't want, and work it through so you can kick it out so it doesn't bother you. It doesn't bother you anymore. It's if you're attached to something that's not working well for you and it's affecting you, you're not going to be in your full game, because it could be, there's trigger factors that we have all heard about and joke about. We all have a trigger for maybe wanting something, or a trigger for striking out at something. And these things that we do not want materially and emotionally can create a trigger while we're talking with somebody, and it could change our state. Or just before we want to talk to somebody about law of attraction or about business or whatever, and it could change our state. And if they pick up on it, which they could either do consciously or unconsciously, that may affect their decision on how to work, whether they want to work with you or not. And so it's important to work on yourself. And in our industry, the big guys in the industry that are high buck and high income earners, and they all taught us from the beginning. I know when I was years ago in an MLM, Think and Grow Rich was the Bible of MLMing. And to go through that, to learn how to think. And I know there's a lot of other books out there now, and I follow a lot of people in the thought process industry. And I was just watching a video with Dr. Joe Dispenza, Greg Braden, and let me think, what the heck's his name? Oh yeah, Bruce Lipton. I don't know why I get confused on his name for some reason. These guys are geniuses in the thought process. So anyway, getting back to the step one of the knowing what you don't want materially and emotionally is important, so that you can focus on what would be the number two step. But actually, I'd like to ask Katie if she has anything that you could add to.
All right, Pops. You okay? All right. So, yeah, it's a little bit laggy. It was fine until you tried to find the mute button, apparently. But my question is, Dad, is that knowing what you want mentally and emotionally. Can you hear me okay?
Number one is what you do not want materially and emotionally.
Oh, it's what you don't want.
Correct.
Know what you don't want.
Right.
Okay, so that makes sense, because no, actually that doesn't make sense. Why do you want to focus on what you don't want?
It doesn't say focus.
Oh.
I didn't say focus.
Oh, no. No. Oh, so it's know what you don't want. So, okay. Oh, gosh. See, now. Okay, I got it. Okay, so that is the difference. You don't want to focus on what you don't want, because that would just be counterintuitive. But you want to know what you don't want first. That's the first step. Right. Got it. Okay.
Now you all know that we're in the same room.
Yeah, now we're not in the same room, but I got to be on the same page here, Pops. So, because I'm really got to learn how to do this law of attraction stuff, because with some people, they don't quite know it, but somehow they know how to use it without knowing how to use it. And it's kind of like when you go and you're playing a video game or something, and you're just playing these video games and you're just pressing all the Skittle like buttons, and you don't know what's going on, and you happen to win. But once you figure it out, there's like strategic stuff that's happening, and you've got to be more careful, and there's like certain steps you got to take, and it takes a little bit more brain power. And once you know, it's like kind of crazy where it just you know, you're a little bit more careful in how you do it. So I want to make sure that I understand how this works because, yeah. So know what you don't want mentally and emotionally. So, for instance, emotionally would be you don't want to feel sad. You don't want to feel worried. You don't want to feel um, uh, left out. You don't want to feel alone. Um, mentally, what would be a good example for what you don't want mentally? Like to be crazy? Want me to mute?
Yeah. Yeah, we're on what you don't want materially.
Oh, materially.
And emotionally. Yeah.
I can't read my own writing.
Note that I was going to give her a list that I had written out in cursive, and she said, I can't read that. I'm going to write my own. Okay. That's awesome. So what you don't want materially or emotionally, materially you don't want to scribble, and emotionally you don't want to be able to not read your writing. So there's a classic example of Should we move on to the next one?
Sure.
Okay. All right. Number 2 is to be on materially and emotionally. And so as Katie was talking about focusing, you kind of want to focus on, I guess, a little bit on what you don't want, but you certainly want to focus on what you do want and set that for goals. Now, there's a difference between being specific on what you want and dwelling on what you want. If you dwell on what you want, you're going to create a presence of lack. Okay. So, but if you're specific, you can use that to write out your goal, because our subconscious minds are such that they don't know when you're joking. The subconscious does not have any idea when you're joking. It has no idea whether you're lying. And it sees with emotion. It responds to emotion. A high energy emotion and low energy emotion. So depending on what you're thinking about. Obviously, if it's specific on what you do want, it's going to be an exciting engagement through your mind. So you'll have a high energy, and your subconscious, unconscious mind, however you perceive it, will tune into that. And it also responds to pictures rather than it'll hear. You can say stuff. You should say stuff out loud, and it'll hear that. But if you can talk and show a picture in your mind, it'll relate to that. And if you put a movie in your mind, it's even better. If you can play out as if you already have this in your life emotionally and materially, that will help you get it that much sooner through the law of attraction. You want to know what you don't want materially. Well, I'm not focus on it, and we'll be specific on what you do want materialistically and emotionally, so that your subconscious and your emotions can pick up on exactly what you want. We were currently at a Rehigden event, and they just moved in last month, excuse me, into their new home. And as he said it, when he found a mentor in Fort Myers, Florida, where they live, he was invited to go to this person's house. And when he got there was a privacy gate, so he had to ring the bell to get in, and he let him in, a gated community. And as he was driving in, there was a round island type thing there, and it was a big fountain with gorgeous lights. This fountain was spewing colored water, and it was just beautiful. And a thought came to his mind. He said, wow, this is amazing. I would love to have this. And later on, he wrote down on a piece of paper that he wanted to live in that he specifically wrote down on a piece of paper that he was going to live in that neighborhood, build a house, and he had actually talked about the house in his dreams as time went by. But he wrote this out that he wanted to live in that neighborhood, and he folded it up and put it in his wallet, and he carried it around with him. They just built their house and moved into their house in that neighborhood. So whenever he drives home, he's going through that same gate years ago when he found his mentor and saw that fountain. This is how that works. It's amazing, totally amazing. And go on YouTube and check this stuff out for yourself too, because I eat this stuff. I eat this stuff up. It's amazing, and it's true because it's so real. Katie, do you have anything that you want to talk about?
I actually have a question for you. So the number one is you know what you don't want mentally and emotionally, and then second one is be specific on what you do want mentally and emotionally. Is there any other things when you say mentally and emotionally, do you want to like separate all that into like relationships or business relationships or whatever, into you know, like career goals, and it's just like all aspects of life? Is because you specifically said mentally and emotionally. Are we talking about just our internal things or things that that we want outside of ourselves as well? Does that work?
Sorry.
Actually, okay, it's materially and emotionally. Okay, so a job, a specific goal could be materially. The amount of money you want to make would be specific. Where you want to work or do business would be specific, and how much money you want to make. Who are people you want to work with, and emotionally, in my opinion. Materially would be you want people who are appealing in that they're not looking like, you know, slobs, you know, because people, it's impression. Unfortunately, it is impression. If they can draw other people in, and you take on somebody that has scraggly, dirty hair and looks like a slob all the time, boy, they're going to have to be have like NLP down to a T in order to get some law of attraction going for that society works. But I'm not going to slam that because it's a possibility. Everything's open. But emotionally, you've got to be aware of who you want to work with, because some, you know, and you'll know that when you meet people emotionally, whether you can work with them or not, because there is an energy that passes between people, and you will sense, you already know, you have probably already met people that you've sensed that you can't just get along, or you don't feel the right vibe, you're on a different level of energy or something, and that's just the way it works. Nature, I don't know how it works, but it does work that way. I've met people where I almost can't get away from them fast enough. Some people, and other people takes more time, and other people I didn't like at first, but then I got to like them. It's kind of weird. I don't understand it. I'm not going to claim to understand it, but this is what I learned, and I have experienced most of this stuff in my lifetime, and studied it, read about it, watched it. I own so many books, it's crazy. Anyway, so yeah, and to answer your question, it will deal with whatever you want in your life. And it falls under material and emotional, because emotional is desire. Desire is an emotion. Love is an emotion. You fall in love with your car, it's an emotion. You know, you buy with emotion and you regret it later. You kick yourself in the butt. That's materially, because it hurts. But whatever. That's a joke. Anything to add, Kate?
I have to apologize again. I rewrote it with better handwriting, materially and emotionally, not mentally and emotionally, because I just got confused. So I sorry about that. So Dave was actually saying in the comments, he said, wouldn't you say it's fair to say that everyone does this? We just don't do it deliberately, which is interesting. And he says what he means by everyone is, does the law of attraction, doesn't just not doing it right. Some people attract misery and pain and failure, which is true. It is true. You know, you've probably seen those people. They're kind of like the people who always bring the chaos. People who are always, and they even said it themselves. You know, I've actually met people who are like, why am I always messing up like that? Why am I always doing this? Why am I always doing that? Why do I always mess up? Blah blah blah. And people do that. It's if they're telling themselves, if I know what law of attraction defines itself as, if you're going to keep saying that, you're like, well, if you want to be like that, then it's always going to happen. Why do I always fail at everything I try to do? Okay, you're going to fail. So what you're saying, Pops, is focus on what you don't want, which is, let's say, failure, and then you be specific on what you do want, which is success, right? That would be just that simple, right?
Yeah, those two steps will define whether you are going to attract the negativity and be negative, or attract positivity and be positive. Of course, depending on what you are specific about. If you're specific about wanting to attract other jerks, if you're a jerk, or, you know, if you always want to complain, you're going to be attracting people that complain so you can sit and be in misery together, right? So this is safe to say that this subject matter is attuned for the positive side of attraction. Okay, because yeah, everybody, I know I've been around people that have been negative, and it starts to drag me down. And if I'm locked with them for some reason and can't get away right away, when I leave, I gotta almost deprogram myself, you know, because my emotions are just so whoa, you know, and I gotta just take a breather and try to refocus my attitude, and so, and I'm sure we have all experienced that. And of course, I know we've all witnessed people tearing themselves apart and taking ownership for being sick, and taking ownership for things that they had no control over, where if they were to turn that around and not take ownership, like, oh, I caught my cold here, or I have this sore, my arm is, I have a bad shoulder or something like that. Well, you know, they're taking ownership on it, where half the time, if they don't say that and don't think about it, they are not going to feel any pain normally. I know Katie, for instance, we were riding, well, you can tell the story, Kate. You go for that when you use the Sedona method.
Yeah, when I was not feeling well, I don't know what happened. I rarely get sick in the first place, and I was just feeling like flu-like symptoms, and I was trying to figure out, I was focusing on what was making me sick. Did I not wash my hands? Did I get it in the public bathroom? Did I do this? Did I do that? Who did I touch? Who did I, you know what I mean? Like shake hands or something. And I was, instead of focusing on healing myself from the inside out, I was trying to figure out what was the outside source way, and how long is it going to take for me to, you know, yada yada yada. And so I was telling my dad that I wasn't feeling well, and he told me a story about how Dale, what's his last name again? Dorskin. Yep, he's the one who is the Sedona method man. I'll just say that. And the story goes is that he was not feeling well at an end of the seminar, and there was going to be a dinner that night. And his mentor told him, well, aren't you going to come to dinner? You know, and he says, no, I'm not feeling well. And he says, well, you know what to do. So what Dale did is that he focused on healing himself and getting better, saying that, you know, he knew what to do, and then he was able to go to dinner and not have the, you know, be sick anymore. So that's what I did, is that I focused on my body, and I'm telling my body that it's a healer, it's healing itself, it's fighting whatever is going on. And I kept chanting that, and I focused more on, the getting the healing part in my body taking care of itself. And we were, I don't remember where we were, but we were on the way to the grocery store, and it might have been a 5-mile or a 5-minute type drive or something. But when I got into the truck, I felt like I couldn't really stand up straight anyways when I was walking wherever we were before. But when I got in the truck, we were driving, and I just didn't pay attention to what was around me. I focused what was on inside me and getting better. And then by the time we got to the store, 5 minutes later, nothing happened. It's like nothing happened. It went completely away. And what I did is that I basically let go of the feeling of being sick, and I held on to the feeling of being better and healthy. And it worked. I don't know how I did it, but it worked. It's because I had that training before going through the Sedona method that I used it to feel better. So someone who doesn't understand the law of attraction and how things work, I'm living proof right here. So it was just kind of really interesting. So.
Right on. Yeah, that was amazing. It worked out great. For me too. Number 3, we'll move on to number 3, is eliminating limiting beliefs. So if you have any limiting beliefs, like I'm not good enough, which is common, I don't deserve it, that's common among people. Don't do, a lot of people don't know what's going on for sure, and they don't know how to figure it out. And I had partly some of that issue for a while, even though I've read the books and did the videos, watching YouTube and stuff like that. I still found that I was having issues doing things. One was doing videos. I couldn't do videos. It was unbelievable. And I repeat this to most people. For what I had a limiting belief about being able to do that. I had fear. That was part of it. That's a limiting belief. And I didn't have faith in myself. That's a limiting belief. I had fear, of course, of looking like an idiot. Another one is what people would think of me. And the content, fear of what people would think about the content, because I knew family members would see me on YouTube, and they're thinking, what's this dude doing? And then I would have to face that next time I saw him at a picnic or whatever. So I had all those fears and limiting beliefs, and I worked through them with the help with friends, Dave here in the chat being one, and certainly Katie. And I got through it. And if you eliminate your limiting beliefs, and sometimes they're so deep you don't even know what they are, I had to dig pretty deep to figure out what was going on. And I took some coaching. Actually, Katie and I both took coaching through Eric Worre's GoPro coaching system. And Ken, our coach, really helped both of us try to define a lot of our limiting beliefs. I had one with privacy that I didn't understand, that I didn't talk about myself much, about what's going on. So I had a hard time doing some of the videos that would talk about me and my family and what's going on. And it comes from my family. My folks would always say, now, nothing goes on. It's going from when I was a kid all the way up, and I held this belief because it was impounded in my head. And there's other stuff. So you get rid of these limiting beliefs, because they're going to hold, they have the potential of holding you back, at least slowing you down. If you think you have, or if you recognize them, you can work through them fine. I ended up getting a coach, and then Katie joined. I was planning on doing it, and Katie joined me. And it was the best thing I think I ever did. And actually, I am now a coach. And through this coaching, helped me realize that is what I've wanted to do all along anyway. I've served people for years in the health industry, in the death industry, and through friends and family who would actually come to me for advice, because be able to answer correctly. And so coaching is really something that I really am excited about. And I really know that I have the ability because of all the things I've read. I have a long, long list, the library of what I read. And through the coaching program that I went through, I realized that I put further limiting beliefs as I was going through the course. It was crazy. It was awesome. It was just crazy. Tools that I had that I never knew existed to help clear limiting beliefs. And so eliminating your limiting beliefs is very important. Kate, do you want to say anything on that?
Yeah, I was just in the comments because they're saying that the video froze a little bit. But I was explaining that I have to say that with your family, Dad, saying that everything's kind of hush hush, and it's it's nobody's business but ours, and that did transfer into us, which is fine because I think we don't have to air out our dirty laundry. You get people out there who in this industry, as you are building a business online, you're building a brand, you're building this something in getting yourself out in the marketplace. It's really scary sometimes because that was part of my limiting belief is that I was afraid to step out and talk about myself. And so having, it's kind of like a bitter, not bitter, I can't find the word, but some people say like, well, I have like the worst or most dramatic story in my life before I became successful, and people think they have to hit rock bottom in order to be successful. Well, you don't. You don't have to air out your dirty laundry, but you do want to share part of your story where you can relate to people. For instance, we have someone who is writing a book on how to train their dog. Right? It's like there's not, there's stories that you can share that can relate to people that way. I share my story about how I started in this industry where I was feeling left alone on an island because I had no sponsor. Actually, he ignored me twice, ditched me twice, and I had no idea I had no upline, so I had no idea what happened inside of a team. The only mentor that I had was training videos. So I felt alone a lot. And I felt like, so I could talk about that in my marketing. And then you get someone who is like maybe Pops or, someone who's in the baby boomers era. Maybe they think they're, well, who's going to listen to me? I'm too confusing to figure out this techie stuff, even though Pops is the one who set up this whole entire hangout, so he knows what he's doing. And you get other people who will share their stories about how they felt stuck, maybe, or they felt like they were stuck learning, or they felt like they didn't know enough until they figured out how to get unstuck or figure out how to cure the shiny ball syndrome. So it's like stuff like that. You share that type of stuff. You don't have to share the time when you were like, homeless or almost losing your house unless you want to. I mean, you know what I mean? It's like, it's use at your own discretion. You don't have to have a sob story is what I'm saying. But the limiting beliefs part of it, it's really writing that down. And sometimes I think, if you don't mind me saying, Pops, it's like, that's why I'm glad you're here, is because I'm able to talk to you and figure out what my limiting beliefs are. And you're able to talk to me, and we have to do that right? And if you don't mind me putting that shameless plug in there for you, Pops, is that's what you do as a profession. So if you are on the comments page next to the video, or if you're on the mobile, it could be scrolled down before the comment section or something. There's a little banner that says Refocusing Coaching. And if you click on that, it's going to take you directly to a page that you can fill out this little form, and you can get about 45 minutes or something with Pops and try to figure stuff out. You can tell him exactly where you're stuck, and he can kind of work this through and try to figure out what those, and probably name what that limiting beliefs are. If not yourself, if you already know what it is, he can help you clear that. And it's just like that. if you don't mind me saying, I have actually had a lot of doubt about clearing limited beliefs. And I thought that, okay, it can't be that easy. And that was a limited belief that held me back. Isn't that crazy? It's like that limited belief of thinking that it could get cleared in seconds. Like I thought it would be have like session after session after session after session. And then maybe a year later I can get rid of that limited belief. But it's not. It can actually happen within seconds as long as you allow it to, which is pretty magical. So, yeah.
Our subconscious holds on to those limiting beliefs. That's where they come from. That's where they were developed, and that's where they come from. And our subconscious mind is going to throw them limiting beliefs at us because the subconscious thinks it's going to harm us. The subconscious is there to protect us. And it doesn't know the difference between right or wrong. It doesn't know that we want to change. It doesn't know that this could end up as a result of in a positive way. So the subconscious is throwing them at us hard and fast and consistent and can take over the conscious. You don't even know it's coming. And all of a sudden it'll give you an alternative to steer you away from what you really want. But it's trying to protect you. And there are methods that actually we'll probably have to talk about in another show to get rid of them limiting beliefs. There's tools that are available to connect with your subconscious mind, to change its attitude about what you are trying to do, so then it will turn around and actually help you attain what you really want. And that comes along with then not knowing what you want or knowing what you do not want. Be specific on what you do want. Clear the limiting beliefs with tools that are available. If you already know what they are and you can work through them, that's wonderful. If you're not sure, or if you still struggle a little bit and you must have them, you can contact a coach. Me, another associate, a friend of ours, Jamie, is a coach, and there's a bunch of them out there. Actually, they're pretty prevalent out there. But anyway, get a hold of a coach. I'd love to help anybody who's interested and figure out what's going on. It's pretty simple, but it can be pretty traumatic because some of them, I have had some that were emotional and some limiting beliefs that I was attached to that I had to let go, and I didn't know they were there until they came up. And they can be a little emotional, and that's fine though, because they no longer served me. It was just the way it is, you know. Emotions play a big part in it. So we better move on to number 4. We're starting to get close here. And number 4 is to visualize what you want with emotion. A high rate of vibrational emotion. When you do your visualizations, if you meditate, you can visualize or meditate with intent. When I visualize, I think about what I want to do the day. I intent on some goal that I have, or whatever. When I meditate, I have something in mind. And you can do that. You can even do that for 4 or 5 times a day, briefly, short little meditations. And but visualize with emotion. That's very important. To stay high energy, and the higher the energy, the better, because, you know, being up, what if up? Another good one is, you know, when you're thinking about something that you want, some limiting beliefs.
Repeat that pros and cons part.
If you have pros and cons about something that you want to do, and you have some doubts, you can think, like, what if, the game here is what if up. So you think positive. What if, you know, this could happen? Because the mind is going to throw at you the negative side, right? You're going to say, well, this ain't going to work because first you're going to look like an idiot, or you don't have enough money, or something that to hold you back. But you think, what if I can come up with the money? What if it is going to work? What if it works out just fine? You won't know until you try. What if I try and it works? You know, you don't want to be that person in my opinion, I don't want to be that person that later on in life says, well, you know, I don't know how it would have worked out. What if it would have worked out pretty good and I didn't try it? Now I feel like an idiot. Especially if somebody else goes on to accomplish it that I deem that wouldn't be as capable as I think I am, which most of them think we're more capable, but that's okay. We are. So the what if up is a good practice when you are kind of wishy-washy about trying to do something to accomplish. And Kate, do you want to add anything to that, or should we go to 5?
Oh, go ahead and go to 5.
Okay. Number 5 is let go and surrender. Like we were talking about a little earlier, when you have your goals set and you've worked through them and you have them all set, you visualized them with emotion and you have them all set, then let them go. In other words, you know, write them down and look at them hanging once in a while, but don't dwell on them. The more you dwell on them, your subconscious is going to think, you know, this is proven, this is not coming from me, this is taught, and it showed scientifically that your subconscious will turn that into a thought pattern of lack. It'll think that you're lacking. So the more you concentrate on something, like people think about, the people that don't have much money are thinking a lot about money, and their mind is turning to the lack of money. And when you think about the lack of money, then the subconscious says, oh, you don't want any money? Okay, that's fine. Well, you don't have to have money, so I won't help you get money. And that's kind of how it works out. That's how it's explained by some of the classes that I took, and all the books I've read. They all say the same thing. You know, it's kind of odd that back 2,000 years ago, Marcus Aurelius wrote a book called The Meditations, and he speaks about the same thing. Marcus Aurelius was a Roman emperor, and he wrote this thing, and a lot of the stuff that the gurus in thought process are talking about, he talked about and wrote about back then. So this is not new material, and it holds true. It's held true for all these years. And so if you concentrate on something too much, it's going to turn into an attitude of lack by your subconscious, and it may hold you back from getting it. So you release it. You make your goal, you visualize it with emotion, and what you do concentrate on then instead of that is the process of getting there. Once you allow your subconscious mind to become aware of what you want by visualization, specific visualization and emotion, and then you let it go, your subconscious mind will pick up on that and start giving you information and steering you into getting it, giving you ideas, giving you, actually putting you in a position to meet new people. Have you ever thought about getting somewhere on time, and then, or even getting a parking lot? Say you're going somewhere and you visualize, yeah, I'm going to be able to get a parking space, and then you go on about thinking about other things that you're going, and you get there and there's a parking space. Every time stuff like that happens to me, I go great. I'm grateful. I thank the universe. I thank my subconscious. I thank everything, because, okay, call it coincidence, but it happens too often for me because I think positively, that I can't call it coincidence because it happens a lot. And I'm so grateful for that, you'll have to find, maybe you already have. I wish I could communicate with you guys in the chat better than typing, but I got to talk with my hands anyway. Kate, do you have anything to add to any of this?
Actually, there's a lot more that I could add, but we are getting close to time now. I just wanted to say specifically that these 5 simple things, they sound very simple, but to do them by yourselves, you can do it, but it's always better to have someone to help you work through it. So that's why we're giving you, or Pops is giving you that 45-minute free consultation to give them that call. I mean, if it's that, if for 45 minutes, if you want to go through these 5, by all means, be prepared. Be prepared to, it'll get emotional or personal even. It could. Depends on how personal you want to get with Pops and how much you want to clear. And for those of you who are kind of sitting there thinking, well, it doesn't really work. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. It works negatively also. So if you look around in your life and you're not really happy where you're at, and you dwell on it, well, it's working. I don't know. I think there's this one thing that you said in the very beginning, Pops, and I wrote that down, and it said that the way we project ourselves is who we attract and what we attract, right? So if you're telling the universe what you want. So if it's negative stuff, you're gonna always get the negative stuff. So whether you believe it or not doesn't really matter. The universe doesn't know; it's just giving you what you want. So you want to go through those 5 and see what happens and make some magical stuff happen. There's that link is it refocusingcoaching.com? Yeah, it's refocusingcoaching.com.
Right.
Go to that, fill it out. You know, you and Pops can just kind of get together and figure this stuff out and see what happens, right? And then you guys can go from there. So with that, do you have any closing thoughts, Pops?
Just thank you very much for joining us here. We appreciate you very much, and we hope to see you again next week. We missed the last 2 weeks. We apologize for that. Circumstances weren't in our favor for weather and connectivity, but we're back, and it's awesome to be back. So love you all. Thank you very much, and have a great week.
Bye.
We're still live. We're still live. You didn't hit the button yet, did you? We're still live.
I did.
You did? Oh, it says live on my side.
That's slow.
It's slow. Live. RV Lifestyle. Whoop, whoop. RV Lifestyle.
Are we still live, Dave?
I doubt it. Let's see. Let me hit the live button. Oh. Oh, we're still live.